California just triggered the largest wealth exodus in American history. In the past 90 days, we've watched tech billionaires liquidate assets, Fortune 500 companies announce relocations, and entire industries prepare to abandon the Golden State. This isn't gradual economic migration. This is financial panic on a scale that threatens to collapse California's entire tax base. In-N-Out Burger, after 77 years in California, just announced it's moving to Tennessee. Chevron, headquartered in California since 1879, relocated to Houston. Playboy moved to Miami. Blue Diamond Growers is shutting down its Sacramento plant and moving operations out of state. Major tech companies are establishing headquarters in Austin, while defense contractors relocate to states with business-friendly policies. But here's what makes this exodus unprecedented. It's not just about high taxes anymore. California's proposed 5% wealth tax has created a deadline that's forcing immediate decisions. Billionaires who might have stayed to fight the measure are instead cutting their losses and running. Bill Ackman called it California's path to self-destruction and warned that the state's most productive entrepreneurs will take their tax revenues and job creation elsewhere. As one tech founder put it, Hollywood is already toast and now they're coming for Silicon Valley. The question isn't whether more companies will leave. The question is whether California can survive losing the people and businesses that built its economy. The billionaire tax proposal has created a crisis of confidence that extends far beyond the ultra-wealthy. The Service Employees International Union's push for a 5% wealth tax on anyone worth more than $1 billion sent shockwaves through California's entire business community. The retroactive nature of the tax applying to anyone who lived in California on January 1st, 2026, created an impossible deadline that forced immediate action. But the psychological impact went much deeper. If California could impose a 5% wealth tax on billionaires this year, what would stop the state from expanding it to people worth $500 million next year, or $100 million the year after that? Successful entrepreneurs and business owners below the billionaire threshold started questioning whether they should wait around to find out. The corporate exodus accelerated dramatically once the tax measure gained political momentum. In-N-Out Burger's decision to leave California shocked even critics of the state's business climate. The company was founded in Baldwin Park in 1948 and became synonymous with California culture. President Lindsay Snyder, granddaughter of the founders, cited the challenges of raising a family and conducting business in California as reasons for the move to Tennessee. When a company that iconic decides California has become unlivable for families and unworkable for businesses, it signals something fundamental has broken in the state's social and economic fabric. Chevron's departure represents an even more devastating blow to California's economy and tax base. The energy giant maintained its headquarters in California for 145 years, surviving the Great Depression, 2 world wars, multiple recessions, and countless political changes. Chevron's decision to relocate 7,000 jobs to Houston wasn't driven by short-term market conditions or temporary policy disputes. It reflected a corporate assessment that California's long-term trajectory makes continued operation there unsustainable. The company will maintain its refineries and retail operations in California, but the high-paying executive and professional jobs that generate massive tax revenue are gone forever. The entertainment industry exodus that Bill Ackman referenced when he said Hollywood is already toast has been building for years, but is now accelerating. Major film and television productions have been fleeing California for states like Georgia, Louisiana, and New Mexico that offer better tax incentives and lower production costs. Playboy's recent move to Miami represents more than just one company's relocation. It symbolizes the end of California's cultural dominance in industries the state once defined. When companies that represent California's global image decide they can't afford to stay, it sends a message to international investors and businesses about the state's competitiveness. The technology sector faces the most immediate pressure from the wealth tax and broader business climate deterioration. Palmer Luckey's warnings about forced asset sales highlight an impossible situation that extends beyond individual tax bills. Tech founders typically hold most of their wealth in company stock rather than cash. A 5% wealth tax forces them to sell significant portions of their companies to pay the government, potentially losing control to competitors or foreign buyers. Luckey, whose defense technology company Anduril employs 6,000 people, warned that he and his co-founders might have to sell huge chunks of our companies just to pay California's wealth tax. This isn't just about personal financial planning. It's about whether American entrepreneurs can maintain control of strategically important companies or will be forced to sell them to raise tax money. The cascade cascade of departures has created momentum that feeds on itself. When Oracle moved to Texas and then Tennessee, it demonstrated that even massive, established companies could successfully relocate. Tesla's move to Austin proved that manufacturing operations could be transferred along with headquarters. Each high-profile departure makes the next one easier to justify and execute. Business leaders who might have been reluctant to undertake major relocations now see established playbooks for how to leave California while maintaining operations and market access. The fiscal implications for California are staggering and accelerating. The state went from a $97 billion budget surplus in 2022 to a $68 billion deficit by late 2023, a $165 billion swing driven largely by the loss of high-income taxpayers and capital gains revenue. Each billionaire who leaves takes tens of millions in annual tax payments with them. Each Fortune 500 headquarters relocation eliminates thousands of high-paying jobs and millions in corporate taxes. The Tax Foundation estimates that 24,670 taxpayers making over $200,000 annually left California in the most recent year for which data is available, taking $16.1 billion in taxable income with them. These aren't one-time losses. They represent permanently reduced tax revenue that compounds every year. The competitive response from other states has intensified as California's vulnerability became apparent. Texas offers zero state income tax and aggressive business recruitment programs. Florida provides similar tax advantages with better weather and no state income tax. Tennessee, which landed both Oracle and In-N-Out, has positioned itself as a business-friendly alternative with low taxes and streamlined regulations. These states aren't just passively benefiting from California's problems, they're actively recruiting California companies with targeted incentives, tax breaks, and regulatory relief that California can't or won't match. The national security implications extend beyond just corporate relocations. Defense contractors like Anduril develop critical technologies for military and homeland security applications. If the wealth tax forces founders to sell control of these companies, foreign buyers or private equity firms with different priorities might acquire them. China has systematically targeted American technology companies for acquisition or investment to gain access to advanced capabilities. California's tax policies could inadvertently force the sale of strategically important companies to buyers who don't share American interests. The professional services ecosystem that supports major businesses is also beginning to fracture. Law firms, accounting companies, consulting practices, and financial services providers all depend on serving large corporate clients. As headquarters relocate, these service providers face pressure to follow their clients or lose the business to competitors in other states. The result is a hollowing out of California's business infrastructure that makes the state less attractive for companies that might otherwise consider staying or locating there. The psychological impact on remaining businesses and wealthy individuals continues to intensify as the exodus accelerates. Even people and companies not directly affected by current tax proposals are questioning California's long-term viability. If the state can impose retroactive wealth taxes on billionaires today, what other retroactive measures might be coming tomorrow? Business planning becomes impossible when the rules can change suddenly and apply retroactively. The uncertainty creates incentives to leave even for those who might be able to afford higher taxes. International competitors are positioning themselves to benefit from California's self-inflicted economic damage. Singapore actively recruits American tech executives and entrepreneurs with favorable tax policies and business environments. Switzerland offers similar advantages for wealthy individuals and their companies. The United Arab Emirates has created special economic zones designed to attract international businesses fleeing high-tax jurisdictions. As California makes itself less competitive, these alternatives become more attractive to globally mobile capital and talent. The timing couldn't be worse for President Biden's economic policies, which depend heavily on California's continued prosperity and tax generation. The state accounts for a disproportionate share of federal tax revenue through its wealthy residents and profitable companies. California's economic decline would reduce federal revenues while potentially requiring federal assistance for budget shortfalls. The political implications of California's fiscal crisis could affect national elections and policy debates about taxation and business regulation. The question now is whether California can reverse course before the exodus becomes irreversible. Some departures might be temporary, with companies maintaining operations while moving headquarters for tax purposes, but others represent permanent shifts that will be difficult or impossible to undo. When established companies with deep roots decide the state has become unworkable, it signals problems that go beyond any single policy or tax measure. The wealth tax that triggered this crisis hasn't even been approved by voters yet, but the damage to business confidence is already severe and spreading. California built the modern technology economy and created the venture capital model that financed American innovation, but the state is now systematically destroying the conditions that made that success possible. The exodus of billionaires, Fortune 500 companies, and innovative businesses represents more than just tax avoidance. It's a vote of no confidence in California's future from the people who know best how to create jobs and generate wealth. What do you think happens when a state drives away its most productive citizens and successful businesses? Can California reverse this trend, or is the damage already permanent? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more analysis on America's changing economic landscape.